Warning. This episode contains foul language, references to the Holocaust, demonic activity, murder, and the death of a child.
Hi, Weirdos. You are listening to Keep It Weird, the podcast for all things strange, unusual, paranormal, supernatural, creepy, sticky, gross, scary, and everything in between. Each week, we have the pleasure of sitting down and chatting about something weird, and this week is extra special because we got to sit down with 4 past guests as a Christmas present for you, and let's be honest, for ourselves as well. Speaking of present, it's time you were visited by the ghost of Christmas present. Only this ghost looks an awful lot like a demon. This episode, we got to hang out with Steve and Maria Lachioma to talk about some seemingly demonic creatures of the night. My name is Ashley, and this is my co-host, Lauren.
Hello, weirdos.
This episode was super fun because we got to Zoom with Steve and Maria.
It was really fun to see their faces. Yeah, we had not done that for an episode yet, and it was extra special. I'm sorry to other guests. Other guests. Oh my gosh.
But also
I shouldn't have even corrected it to guests. It is our other ghosts. Apologies to all ghosts and guests who didn't get to hop on Zoom because, dang, we had a really good time. We laughed a lot.
So much fun. It really felt like we were just hanging out in the same room, but it does mean that the audio in this episode is very different than the audio of the episodes surrounding it.
Yes.
I'm also uploading the video version of this episode to YouTube as we speak, so that's going to be available to you as well if that is something you are more interested in, seeing us be our animated selves. And the YouTube version actually has a couple extra little tangents and details that the audio version doesn't. So that's another lovely incentive to check out the video as well.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so we got to sit down with Steve and Maria. They got to talk to us about some of their all-time favorite topics. Steve brought his love of cryptids, and Maria taught us about a new type of demon. Enjoy! Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. For having us.
It's so great to have you both at the same time. This is like a dream.
I know, but still apart, even though we're married.
Right.
Yes.
We're in 2 different parts of the apartment.
We got like a 1950s house where I sleep in another bed next to her.
Right.
You guys have the 2 twins.
We're old school.
You're separate.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally, you push them together.
Mm-hmm. And I'll touch her
Special
thigh
occasions.
for foreplay. Yeah, it's very
She'll show you her wrist or something.
Oh, stop. I'm getting all...
Sweating. So, Steve and Maria, hello. You guys have both been on the show, although separately. Maria, you came on in season 1. You had 2 episodes, sort of the same topic. The first one was called Glitch in the Maria, which was all about questioning whether or not we live in a simulation. And we talked about deja vu and alternate timelines and the Mandela effect. You actually learned what that was on live, which was really fun because you lost your mind.
Your reactions were so good.
I loved it.
You could hear her losing her mind.
Yes.
You really could. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then you came on a couple months later for an episode called Down the Rabbit Hole. And this time we looked at kind of the same stuff, but then we asked like, okay, if we are in a simulation, then what are premonitions? What is God? Et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And I freaking loved those episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And they were fun. I mean, I literally bore Steven all the time with all of that information. Like, yo, let's talk about space. God.
It's not that it bores me. It's that you do it at like 2 a.m. when I'm trying to sleep and you go, are you up? What do you think a black hole? What's inside a black hole? And I'm like, I don't know.
Like, I don't know. I'm so tired.
I'm sleeping. Yeah. Yeah.
I do. I get cray.
I know. Joe eventually will be like, will you just call a friend?
You talk to somebody else for a minute.
I think that's why I text you so much randomly, Ashley, out of nowhere. It'll be like in the morning and I'm sitting there like reading and then I'm like, oh my God, black holes. Yes. And I'll like text you all the time with random stuff. Are we allowed to curse on here?
Yes.
Or do we have
you
like
can curse
PG?
all you want.
No,
Okay, yeah, random
rip.
shit.
No rating.
Scary. All right.
Shit. Okay.
And then, Steve, you were on just at the end of last season for a Hometown Haunts New York episode that was so great it ended up being 3 parts.
My goodness.
So
That's right. That's right. Wow.
Bobby New York.
Bobby New York.
Bobby New York. That's what it was.
That's
Yeah.
Bobby
right.
New York was so funny. Oh my gosh.
Both of you had episodes in seasons that ended up being sort of fan favorites. So I'm sure everyone's going to be very excited to hear you guys together.
Covering 2 different things too.
Ooh.
I know. I'm so
I'm
excited.
so excited, you guys.
Before we get into what you came with, can I ask sort of for our listeners, what have you been up to since you were last on? I know, Steve, it's sort of like COVID. COVID is what I've been up to. I've been in the house.
Yeah, still doing stand-up, that Zoom stand-up,
Yeah.
which isn't really stand-up. I don't know what it is.
Right.
But just that's all. That's it. And cleaning all my shoes. I've cleaned a lot of shoes.
Good.
Well,
I mean,
that's something good to do. That's productive.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but you guys you have been making really, really, really funny videos
My
in
goodness.
quarantine.
Yes.
We did. Actually, I forgot because I was at the
Mhm.
top of quarantine when we're like, let's be creative and just turn it into good. And then like, months later, we're like, what the fuck?
I'm so
Yeah.
exhausted. I can't.
Yeah.
The mundane routine.
My favorite one, I think, was the one where you guys were like, it seemed like you were going in to rob a store, but really you were just like prepping to go grocery shopping. So you had to like, you was like, okay, do we have our gloves? Do we have our masks?
Yeah.
And then it just ended up being grocery shopping. It was hilarious.
What did we do that? Did we do that for a film fest?
I think we did it for shits and giggles, to be
We
honest with
did.
you, babe. Yeah.
That's right. I think one day we were just like, whoa, wouldn't it be like, it's like we in a bank heist, but not, Well, but then and then the reveal is that we go into Ralph's. What? I have been, funny enough, in like just engrossed in a town called Genoa City, which exists in a soap opera called The Young and the Restless.
Yes.
Yes.
You have been killing it.
Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, it's crazy because I booked that job right before COVID like kicked in. And so I was working COVID free for a while. And then I think March 16th was the day that Hollywood sort of shut down.
Yeah.
The world shut down.
Well, the
Yeah.
world shut. Yes, the world. I know, right? Like just Hollywood.
Only
No.
us.
Only us. We're actors. We had nothing to do. No, really. Yeah, and then I had some episodes that were supposed to shoot in May, but then after everything shut down, I wasn't sure if I was going to be back, and they just kept bringing me back. So, funny enough, the whole year I spent on a show. I spent on a soap opera, which is
This is
awesome.
amazing.
So
Oh, it
good.
was so much fun.
And I cleaned all your shoes.
You did.
And Steve cleaned the
Steve
shoes.
kept cleaning the shoes, you guys. It's
What
amazing.
I did.
Amazing.
So just because I'm curious, what is it like to be, because I've been on sets before because I did background work, so I kind of get how that works. But I know that soap operas are a different animal because they change so
Quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
writing it like as they're going, as opposed to like the whole season's
Because are you
written.
taping every single day pretty much? Like you have to learn new lines back to back?
Yes and no. So at the top before COVID, so I started work, I believe it was like February 7th. And then I worked until like the first week of March. When pre-COVID, I wasn't in every episode, yet I did work a lot. And there was a lot of text that I had to memorize. Not as much as the people, like some of the contract players that are literally there every single day, from 5 a.m. until like 4.
Yeah.
It's really fast. There was one day I had to do 23 pages, which is kind of like a short film. in one day.
Yeah.
And it was I think my third episode, and I'm brand new. I'm walking into this scenario. I've never been on a soap before, and so it is very different from other sets, because on other sets, I think maybe if you do, let's say you have a scene, you know what I mean, you might do 3 or 4 takes of that scene from different angles. You kind of have practice. But with soaps, it's like, let's say I have 4 scenes in this episode. We're shooting all of my scenes, and you get 1 rehearsal, 1 take, and then you move on.
Ugh.
And that's it. So it was very intimidating, but it taught me how to, like, you know, memorize like a crack demon. I don't know what that is, but it came
Crack
out.
demon.
And that's,
No, for sure.
Oh, wow, that's terrifying.
Crack demons.
That's actually what we're talking about today.
Yeah, that was going to be my thing.
Crack demons. But yeah, sometimes I would get scripts and I'm like, so where's it going? I didn't know where my storyline was going from the get-go. So it was kind of fun.
Cool, because if you're actually that person, you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I would think.
I'm gone. I think my character's actually done.
Oh.
Well, we'll see. It's a soap opera. You never
So
know.
many times you think a character is dead and they swoop in out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So there's
That's
hope for you.
true. That's so true. But anyway, that's what I've been up to, and it sort of just came in little chunks. So it was a fun ride.
Yeah, very cool.
And you had a better year than a lot of
people. Yeah.
did.
You know what's funny is that I didn't work for so long. I spent like 2 years dry, and then a pandemic hits, and it was like, here's all of the work.
Right.
And it was like, I can't
It's
complain.
not funny.
It's so
I can't
funny.
complain.
Life works like that sometimes. It's nuts.
So
Well, congrats to both of you.
Yeah,
You're-
congratulations.
You're both being
Thank you.
amazing creatives and still thriving in the midst of it all. So well done.
Trying.
well, I have to say
Madness.
about Steven, he's selling himself short, but this dude created a pilot and has like also then
I didn't know that.
oh yeah,
Wow.
he finished a pilot and now he's working on like 2 other shows. He's a very talented writer.
Okay. NBD. That's awesome.
Look at him rolling his eyes.
I will say this, check out Gene Domatori if you haven't. I'll
Oh.
plug that the whole time. Gene Domatori, Animal Agent. Just
Oh, I love Gene, Animal
Gene
Agent.
Domatori. More things to come for Gene Domatori. He filmed a whole bunch of stuff. And
Okay.
if you like animals and you like mental patients, I'm your guy. So perfect.
Yes, that is what I enjoy.
I think I've reposted a couple of them, but I'm happy
You
to
have.
repost
Thank you. Thank
every
you.
single one
We
of
should
them.
put them in like
over
our
and over.
Facebook group because I think our listeners would
For
really
sure.
enjoy.
Well, I love you. Thank you, guys.
Today we're talking about crack demons, and we're kind of handing it over to Steve and Maria. They've prepared everything. We just get to kick our feet up and listen to stories.
Let's do it.
Your go, baby.
You want me to go first?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Take
Okay.
it away.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So
please.
I have a obsession when it comes to the paranormal or the supernatural, and that's cryptids. I really love cryptids, and I know when I was on last, we got into some cryptids of New York and
Yes.
stuff. So of course I was going to do cryptids again, and I had a whole game plan. I knew what I was going to go. I've been doing a lot of studying of the Native American culture and their kind of lore and cryptids. But while I was doing that, I found a new cryptid I'd never heard about. And it was very exciting for me because anytime I find a cryptid for a place that I frequent or I've been to or spend time, it's like, whoa, man, did I ever see it when I was there? You know?
Yeah.
So I love the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Maria and I spend time up there. We love hiking and camping, everything to do with the Sierras. I'm obsessed. One day I will live up there in a shack and I will make soap and whittle, and it'll be the best life ever. But until then, I'm here. And I came across a Sierra cryptid, and it's not Bigfoot, and it's not the weird walkie guys. You ever see those weird walkie guys?
Fresno night crawlers.
Yes,
Oof.
not those.
Yes.
Are those the ones that look like parentheses?
They're the ones that look like pants. Yeah.
Just
They're
some
just like
pants
walking
like
pants.
rolling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah, like that.
Creepy.
So I came across the Lone Pine Mountain Devil. similar to the crack demon.
Sure,
Very
Cousin
similar.
of the crack demon.
Yes. So Lone Pine is the town right outside Mount Whitney. You guys familiar with Mount Whitney?
I'm not.
Yes, I've heard of it, but I've never been
Yeah,
there.
same.
Mount Whitney is the highest peak in the continental United States.
Okay.
And it's here in
What?
California. Yeah, it's 14,000, almost
Okay.
15,000 feet. So obviously it's not Denali in Alaska, but here it's,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
you know,
Tip
top
tip
dog.
top.
Okay.
Tip top. So there's this area, there's a drive called the Whitney Portal. And supposedly this is where the Lone Pine Mountain Devil lives. It lives back there in an area called the Alabama Hills. Now, believe it or not, you guys know what the Alabama Hills are because you've seen the movie Tremors, I take it,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Yep.
So you know those rocks they're doing the pole vaulting
Yeah.
on?
Yeah.
That's the Alabama Hills. Those are rock
All right.
formations that are littered.
What?
It's here in California. It's 2 hours away. It's beautiful.
Dang.
Yeah, you
okay.
can actually go.
I should. It's not far.
No, it's not far at all. That's why I was like, oh my God, I've been up there so many times. So the Lone Pine Mountain Devil supposedly used to terrorize the whole Southwest. And it was a creature very similar to the Cynornithorsis. Do you know what that is? I'm going to say that again because it sounded like I was choking on something. Cynornithosis. Cynornithosis. I tried to say it nice.
Is that a like an old dinosaur?
It is. It is the winged dinosaurs. So not not a pterodactyl, not a raptor, but you ever see like those dinosaurs that are like half lizard and they got feathers and they have beautiful plumage. What a great word. Plumage is just beautiful.
Yes, plumage.
So that's what those are. Plumage. So they say it looks like that.
Okay.
With an extra set of wings. And it's about, I don't know, 5 feet tall, something like that.
Too tall.
Anything that has teeth, and teeth,
Oh.
that's teeth. You've seen these things. Just imagine a velociraptor with rings. That's what it looks like. Supposedly, there were stories back in the late 1800s, around 1878, of people in and around the Lone Pine area and in the Sierras that were mutilated by this Lone Pine Mountain Devil or the Lone Pine Devil. And what it would do is rip all the skin off your face so that you were unrecognizable, and then just eat all of your soft tissue around your chest, and then be out, and then peace.
Oh, okay.
And
What if you had abs?
if you had abs, you were in good shape. It would just go for like your earlobes and the soft
Okay.
cartilage. So
All right, good
if
to
you
know.
were ripped, you were shredded.
It's a better
Better chance,
reason
okay?
to stay fit, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly. So there's stories of this mountain devil in the late 1870s, killing miners, killing stagecoach travelers. There's an infamous story of these early settlers, right? And they were taking like a caboose thing. What are they called? The wagons. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about,
A
right?
wagon.
A wagon.
So they were, they
That
were
is the name.
covered around a stagecoach. That's what a stagecoach trip.
Okay.
And they were Spanish settlers, and they were trying to get to San Diego through the Sierras. And there was like 40 of them. And they never showed up to San Diego. But one day, this like priest who was all like tattered, and they said he was the priest with them. And all he had was like a book, and he was all like, he's Spanish. So he's probably, like, por favor, right? And he comes up, and they're like, Father, what was his name? He had a cool name, like Father Jezidua. Anyways, Father bullshit. I can't find it.
Other bullshit.
Yeah.
I've heard of him.
I've told a few confessions to Father Bullshit.
I know. Father Martinez, that was his name. Not
know.
close to bullshit.
No.
And they were like, what happened? What happened? He was like, there was an orgy. We were celebrating St. Roderick Day, and an orgy erupted.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, the demons came out, and they started attacking and ripping these people to shreds and taking them down to hell, and everybody disappeared, and I survived. And he was quoted, my God, they are all gone. The winged demons have risen. What sin have they committed against each other? That and thy sacred earth made the forgiving Lord not abandon their souls, which were taken from them into the depths of hell. And through the earthly fires of man, a soul tree remained on the mountain's peak, and the devils that spare me returned to the refuge of the lone pine of the mountain. That's what this guy said.
Wait, I have a question for you, Steve.
Yeah.
When you said orgy, like, does he mean like a gaggle of people or like a sexual orgy?
It says the celebration, according to the pious father, turned into a riotous orgy. There's quotes. So like I don't know any orgies where people aren't fucking. So I'm sure that like that's what it was, which is surprising. Like that takes balls to begin with. You got a priest over here, and like, oh, don't worry about him. Let's just fucking have this orgy. Hey, father, go chill in the tent.
Whoa.
Like that's ballsy. So they probably they were deserved to get ripped to shreds by these things. So that was in 1878. Now the next sightings, like legit sightings, weren't actually until 2003. So it spanned this. I know that's a long time. And it was a story of this guy who lived by Yosemite on the Eastern Sierras. And he went out one night to smoke a cigarette, and he said he heard what he could only say was the sound of a demon yelling. And he looked up, and there was
his mom.
It was his mom.
And it was his mother. That's not part of the
Did
story.
you pay
It was interesting.
Insurance? Yeah, like shut up, demon mom. So he turned and he looked, and he said he didn't think twice. He saw a huge bird, what he thought was a bird, on top of his neighbor's house that he said looked like an ostrich. And he went, wait, that's not, and it jumped and flew to the tip of another tree, and it was so heavy it almost weighed the tree down, and it stayed staring at him. And then he said, wait, that's not an ostrich, because one, ostriches don't fly, and they don't
usually do that.
The Sierras.
Yeah, they wouldn't be chilling at Yosemite.
Yeah.
Seriously. And he said it had double knees, but it had these huge wings and a face with teeth and these big demon eyes.
Jeez.
And he got on his bike, he said, to try to like ride away, and it started following him, jumping from tree to tree, yelling. He said he rode like, the Dickens. I don't even know what that means. What does it mean to run or ride like the Dickens?
I don't know.
What the fuck does that mean?
It's a phrase that
That's
I've
actually a
used
good
many
question.
times before, and I have never looked into why that's a phrase.
Scared the Dickens out of him,
right?
Which is probably in reference to Scrooge.
That's
right?
why we come to you guys for questions like this. This is great.
I also have a question too. Why do people always say let's get the fuck out of Dodge? Like, what is Dodge like? I'd love to explore the city of Dodge.
Dodge is bad.
Yeah. What is Dodge about?
Where is Dodge?
That's where Wyatt Earp. No, he was in Tombstone.
Right?
Lots of questions.
I feel like we could have a whole episode on
phrases and why we say
idioms
them.
and phrases and like where the hell they came
Opener,
from.
season 1. Got it.
You can have your listeners send in stories of like what they feel like Dodge would be, and maybe you can read the best one.
I kind of love that.
I'm a producer now.
You get a producer credit for that episode.
Hey,
Join the
Scotty.
team.
But you were saying, Steve.
So,
Okay, yes.
Well, so he ran like the Dickens and got the fuck out of Dodge, and he said he moved 1,000 miles away because he never wanted to deal with it again. And then there was other little stories like, oh my God, I saw a bird thing like that once, and I saw a thing like that once. So I think the reason I like cryptids, so this is what I'm going to get into. I try to first, I'm sure we all do, we try to logically dissect, like, okay, what is this?
Yeah.
What are people doing? You know what I mean? Are people fucking high? Or are they smoking friggin' peyote? What's going on? So in 1879, I know a lot about that era. I'll get that. That's a whole nother podcast. But there was a lot of the gold rush was going on up there. And if you found a claim, you didn't want people to go up and start, hacking away at your claim.
Right.
So you probably had to say, one, they would say like, hey, be careful, the natives are up in there. And that was the truth. And that's why the Mariposa battalions were created, to wipe out the natives, which is very horrible and sad. But also, you'd probably say, hey, don't go up there. There's this winged demon creature. It's going to bite your dick off, and then it's going to take all your gold, and you're like, oh, I need those two things. So, so people wouldn't go up. And then, you don't want to get your face ripped off. And then, so I think back then it was just people just kind of like trying to keep people out of their claims, even though there's a lot of other stories about the Whitney Portal and ghosts and all that, because it was a big crossing for people back in the day, the Whitney Portal.
Okay.
Wait, what was the Whitney Portal? Is it an actual portal or like a pathway?
It's a pathway. So what it is if you were to cross over Mount Whitney and just go straight over, you come out right where Sequoia National Park is, and then you're a straight shot to San Francisco. So that's why they would go that way. And it was easier to traverse than most of the other Sierras, because if you drive along the Sierra Nevadas, the southern part, there's the cliffs literally rise straight out of the Death Valley, and they're almost impenetrable. So that was kind of a little break south. The next one would be the Tioga Pass, but that was so far north. You know, back in the day, you're on a horse. It's not a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, a 4-day burro
Excursion,
ride.
yeah.
Who the fuck wants to do that shit? So you take your chances with the winged demons. So
Worth it.
So 2003, now I'm just reading, hey, this is like the internet and people just getting excited about telling the story that people created back from 1879. But then you start to think, right? You go, wait, were one of these Sigornothopithecuses around? You know what I mean?
Say that word again?
The Center for Mortopithecus.
I'm just going to take the audio from earlier in the episode
Splice it
and
in.
just like plug it.
Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Sinornithorsis. That's awful.
That
Never
sounds
mind.
right.
We believe you.
Or how about this? They also call them microraptors. That sounds better.
That's so much
You should have
better.
been saying this
so-
all along.
I tried to get technical with it. So listen, we always hear stories about like, hey, it's a plesiosaur. It might be a plesiosaur that's stuck in this lake, or it might be an old ancient mosasaur.
Right.
It could be.
Please tell me what a plesiosaurus is.
Loch Ness.
Oh,
Yeah,
that?
they think that's what Loch Ness.
Think of
yeah.
old Nessie.
Oh.
Mhm. 4 fins, long neck, big mouth.
Yeah.
teeth,
I just
catch
didn't know
fish.
that was its formal name,
plesiosaur.
his birth name. Yeah.
Yeah. His birth name, yes. That's his. Yes, that's his confirmation name is plesiosaur. Yes,
His confirmation name.
his confirmation name plesiosaur.
The confirmation name
confirmation.
just killed me. That is
Yeah,
so
that's-
good.
So that's his. Anyways, so maybe listen, the Sierras, they're pretty. I mean, there's a lot of people hiking and doing shit up there, but you could hide up in there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? What if
totally.
one of these microraptors? I mean, it's a bird, so I mean, from a distance, you go, oh, look at that big bird. You know, what is that? An eagle or a flying ostrich?
Have you found in your research that the majority of these cryptids live in these areas, or are you finding them kind of like, barring the world, like the rest of the world, because there's like crazy shit up in the Himalayas. I don't know that for a fact. Please fact check me on that. But I'm sure
The Yeti. Yeah,
the
the
Yeti. But like, are you finding that a lot of them are in the Sierras, or are you seeing some in like New York or I don't know, wherever?
Well, they're mostly in sparsely populated areas where, you know, old Jeb goes for a hike and he's been drinking a little bit of the moonshine and something scares the dickens out of him. And he goes, there's a creature in the woods. It tried to eat my toes. It's the toe demon. Everything's going to be a crop demon, a toe demon today. So yes, they usually are in, you know, very vast wilderness areas, things like that. Because
But are you seeing them out
hiding.
here on the west or more like on the east? Like, are you like?
There's only other in the Sierras. There's 3 other cryptids I found in the Sierras. Now we already mentioned the
The
these
parentheses. Yeah.
guys. Yep.
Pair of jeans walking.
The Tahoe Tessie, which is similar to the Loch Ness Nessie. So
Okay.
the Tahoe Tessie in Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is an extremely deep lake, and it's always cold. Jacques Cousteau is said to have dived a submersible down there. When he came up, they said, "What did you see?" And he went, "The world is not ready to know what I saw." So they did some
It's a
research.
really good impression.
Thank you. But they weren't sure if he saw Tessie or all the dead bodies, because the mafia used to dump the bodies down at the bottom of Tahoe.
Maybe
and
he
they
saw
think a bunch of
both.
dead bodies.
Oh,
Maybe.
Tessie was
But then they
swimming
also-
over the dead bodies, and he didn't know what to do.
I did this. Like that.
did you guys watch Hellier?
So
Hellier as in Hellier, Kentucky, because there was this famous case of basically gremlins in Hellier, Kentucky.
I did.
So basically they go to research, like to try and find like evidence of these gremlins, and they start realizing that like, oh, there actually might just be like a portal
Yeah.
here. And then they start looking at like the map of the United States, and they realize that all of these like cryptid sightings happen near cave openings or like places with a lot of caves.
That's
which,
where I would be.
mountains have. Yeah.
I'd be hiding in a cave for sure.
Why not?
I can't get into it. I can't get into it.
How much time do you have?
I wrote a pilot, and it has to do a lot with what you're talking about. And
So excited.
Yep. And they do believe that these cave systems, some of them do. The Native Americans did believe in portals to the afterlife or to another realm. Let's first say that. And that a lot of their beings, the native cryptids, would come through these portals whenever they were like, yo, we got to fucking check these guys. They're doing some shit. And that's been around. I mean, there's cave drawings of this stuff. You know what I mean? Maybe not portals, but that's of cryptids and things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is something, and these interdimensional beings, a la the Mist, come through and are like, I'm a gremlin. And you're like, yeah, you are a gremlin.
Get back in your cave. Bigfoot is one of those supposed, everyone always says like, oh, if Bigfoot exists, like, why haven't we found evidence of it? It's like, first of all, we kind of have. Right. Second of all, I mean, who's to say that it's like a physical creature that bleeds blood? Like, we don't know.
Right.
I agree.
Totally
We
true.
don't know shit.
We talked about this recently, the Hunters, missing 411 Hunters documentary, where that woman got a picture of that thing and it's like invisible. It's like, how do we know they can't go invisible?
Right. We just don't know anything.
We don't know anything.
Like, everybody has this idea in their mind of what Bigfoot is, but truly we don't know exactly what Bigfoot is. And he may have talents and powers that we don't understand. And
yeah.
He could
be running Universal Studios for all we know.
We have
you know
no
what I mean?
clue. What if he's a shapeshifter and he can become an executive at any time and go back into the woods?
That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Well, Stephen, did you have more note-wise?
Just a couple little, nothing crazy. Just like,
go for it.
Again, the mountain devils. Nobody needs to fear unless you decide to go and mess with nature. They only attack people who are disturbing nature. So that's what, like, if you went up there camping and you were doing everything nice and you were doing like, thank you, nature, and like, made a nice fire and brought everything out, no garbage, they're not going to mess with you. But if you go up there and you start having orgies like these people and lighting shit on fire, and in front of priests,
there's going to be a problem.
They're going to eat your fucking face, okay?
Crack demons don't have time for orgies.
Yeah. But no, I mean, that's just about it when it comes to the Lone Pine Mountain Devil. I obviously could sit here and talk about cryptids forever, but I'd really love to hear what my beautiful wife has to say.
Guys, I've gone down a rabbit hole. Do you guys know what the dybbuk is?
I know.
I know.
Yes.
What do you know, Lauren? Tell me what you know.
No, I don't want to take any of this away from you, because I don't think any of our listeners know anything about the dybbuk, and I think you just go forth with the education.
I'm just going to go.
All I know is that Jewish, and there are boxes that you can get online, dybbuk boxes, that supposedly have dybbuks in them, which is like, who?
I thought you were just going to leave it at Jewish and boxes, and then just like
Jewish boxes.
All I knew about it was a quote from one of our favorite movies, Waiting for Guffman.
Yes.
Oh,
which
my
goes,
gosh.
Cherry.
Dybbuk schmibbuk. I said more ham.
Yeah.
Is that it? We've been saying it all
schmibbuk.
day.
Yeah.
I'm like cleaning. I'm like, dybbuk schmibbuk. I said more ham. And then I do it in
Great
different
Eugene
voices.
Levy.
No, and I feel like
So-
that's kind of the summary. If anyone has heard of these, that's kind of what they know is like cursed box. Like, that's kind of
Question mark? Yeah. But I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah, I don't know a lot.
They made a movie in 2012 about this box. It's like, but it was like something, I mean, I didn't see the movie, but I'm gathering it might have been something like Annabelle, where it was like, oh, Annabelle was really this, and then this. I have to do more research on that. But it's funny that you say about you can buy dybbuk boxes online, because when in my research, there's only 10 in the world, apparently.
Whoa.
Wait,
okay.
really?
Yeah, like there's 10 dybbuk boxes with dybbuks in them. And for the listeners out there, so a dybbuk is this malevolent spirit or a demon. but it usually attaches itself to a soul. So there were a couple of things. There's one where it's a malevolent spirit that will attach itself to a human soul or something like that, or a demon that attaches itself to a human soul. And the human soul is usually one that's like, oh, I've got unfinished business, I've got unresolved stuff. And so the demon's like, okay, check it. I'll get you in a bottle, in a body, in a bottle.
Yo, I'll get you in that bottle, yo.
What if Christina Aguilera was a dybbuk? She's like, I'm out.
I'm a dybbuk in a bottle.
That's actually a really funny parody. So it attaches itself. So yeah, so it's like a human spirit that's, you know, recently deceased, and the demon's like, okay, so I'm gonna put you in a body, and then I'll get to like possess that body. So like the soul gets rest, and then the demon gets to like, you know, possess and shit. But anyway, but either way, it's a bad thing. So I came across this story because I've been obsessed with a show that I found on Prime, but it's a History Channel show called Haunted History.
I just want to say something. She watches these shows all the time, and I don't even need to know what she's watching, and it's not because of what they're talking about. There is a sound effect in every single one of these shows. The squeaky gate.
Yeah.
Every single show has the squeaky. It's always like, and then the guy's like, she realized that the Jello had molded.
Yeah.
It's like, today we're visiting the Crowley house.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
So the show, it's really cool because it takes haunted things or possessed things or just paranormal stuff, but it does a really great job of weaving history into it. So this episode was about this wine box that was possessed. And so I found out that there's this box. So the story goes as this. Let me see. I got my notes here. I'm going to go refer to notes. This is where we refer to notes. So there was this dude named Kevin Manis, right? And he owned this like antique refurnishing shop in Portland, Oregon. And he had purchased this wine box at like an estate sale. This woman, she was 103 years old. She's a survivor of the Holocaust. She had died. And so he purchased this box, right? So he kept it in his basement for a hot minute. And there were some stories of like of an employee and it being, you know, whatever, haunted shit happened. But the main story that I'm trying to get here is about how this thing, it's almost like it's got its own like long drawn out story where it chooses people. So he has this box for a while and he's like, you know what, I'm going to fix it up and I'm going to give it to my mom for her birthday. So he fixes it up and he happens to give it to his mom on Halloween. Her birthday was on the 28th, but she was on a trip. So when she came back, he was like, here's this box. And so he like stepped away for what, I don't know what it said, it was like 5 minutes. And then somebody comes running back to him and goes, dude. Well, they didn't say dude. I'm saying dude. But he's like, dude.
You don't know that.
Something's up with your mom. And he goes back and his mom is kind of like in this sort of catatonic state or what have you, but she's just not moving. They rush her to the hospital. Nice. And she had some sort of like paralysis thing. Something happened. This is when I was trying to write out the word paralysis, but something happened. She like was paralyzed and she wrote on a piece of paper, no, like she wrote it in this weird way, like no box, like I don't want this box. Ooh. So people who have possessed this box, who have whoever this box has been like passed down to, have experienced a lot of similar things. But I'll go along with this story. So he has this box for a while. So now he's like, look, I'm going to get rid of it. So he gets rid of it. He puts it up on eBay and this college student purchases it. And so he starts experiencing weird things. He has weird dreams. And then he's like, this thing has got to go. Because what college student has time for that, right?
Yeah. I have exams.
Exactly. I don't need demons. So he sells it. And this dude, this other guy, what was his name? Hold on. I gotta get his name here. His name is Jason. Well, we'll come back to it.
Father Martinez.
Father bullshit.
Father bullshit.
Father bullshit's back, baby.
I knew it. Or it would be rabbi bullshit, I guess.
Oh, that's
right?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get it right, guys.
So this guy, Jason Haxton, then acquires the box, right? And he starts having weird things happen to him. So the stuff that's happening to him has happened to the previous owners as well. One of them being these very weird dreams where they encounter this demon face that morphs from having a face to then having its skin just like ripped off and then eyes gouged out. And it was really like just, yeah, like super demonic. So he had that.
Do we know what the dybbuk looks like? Since you're talking about like, is there any kind of like, does it take on a form of sorts?
Ooh, this is a good question.
They both rip faces off, which is interesting.
Yep.
Yes.
That's the crossover.
Yep.
So in my research, the dreams in which people have seen the same thing, they've seen this demon thing that I've described to you. I was also researching on another website, and they had said that in like Jewish mysticism, that it might take the form of like a black dog or a cat or something. It sounds like it can take other forms, but I'm not clear on that. So I don't know.
Because I read like a hag. It looks like a real hag.
Yes.
Like a witch.
That's the thing that these people have. That's the image of the person that these people have.
That's the common thread then.
Yes.
Okay.
And all of them experience weird supernatural stuff, anxiety, health problems, all like basically COVID-19 is the fucking dybbuk. So it's like, so it was crazy, right? So anyway, so this dude, he becomes obsessed with it, right? Because he's like, I gotta know what the hell this box is. So he does more research. He contacts the original, who he thought was the original owner of it, this guy Kevin Manis, and he's like, dude, you got to help me out here. Can you help me out? And the guys, and like, it was funny because in the interview, the guy was like, okay. I'm like, you have a responsibility to this man to help him out.
You pass this along.
Yeah.
And he knew about all the things. He just thought it was like in his head. I'm like, no. So anyway, so this guy, Kevin Manis, goes back to where he bought the box. And he opens up this woman opens up the door, and it happens to be a woman that he went to high school with or school with or something like that. And it was her grandmother's box. It was her name was Havilah, the woman who passed away at 103 and was the original owner of this box. But this woman was in this house. I don't know if she lived there, but she also had an older lady that was there with her, which I think was her grandmother's cousin, which would be like her second aunt or whatever. Anyway, I'm not going to do the whole genealogy, but anyway, she was there. And her name was, I believe, Sophia. I can't remember, but I have to look. But anyway, so he goes in there and he says, yo, this box, it's crazy. Like, can you tell me more about it? And he says, so this woman comes out of nowhere and she says, it chooses. It can choose. It chose you. And he was like, what are you talking about? And she goes on to explain how this box came to be. So in 1938, in Poland, these women, they were cousins, and they were, this was sort of right as World War II was starting to kind of kickstart, you know what I mean? And they had taken up this pastime. And at the time, it was all the rage to sort of do seances and Ouija boards. So they made their own little Ouija board, used a pendulum and whatnot. And speaking of portals, they were talking about you open up portals to another dimension. So they opened up this portal and they encountered this like spirit. And the spirit kept on telling them like, yo, you should let me like cross over or whatever. And I don't know what came over these women, but they decided, okay. And so the spirit had crossed over. But it was so malevolent and it was so bad. It was so like demonic. They were like, we got to contain this. Yeah. So this is what's really fascinating. They attempted to trap this dybbuk into that wine box on December 10th, 1938, which is the same night that they call Kristallnacht, which is a night of broken glass. And it's a night where thousands of synagogues were destroyed. And about 30,000 Jewish men were arrested and then sent to concentration camps. Whoa. So basically it's credited as being the turning point where anti-Semitic policies were turned into like widespread violence. Yeah. And this woman, now flash back to like her telling the story, she says, I feel like that what she thinks it was correlated and responsible for it. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, all right, let me dig deeper. And I was like, maybe not. Sophie, that was her name. So anyway.
You were so close.
I was so close, Sophie. So then what happened was they never got to trap the dybbuk into the box. So the dybbuk was roaming around for years after the war.
Just everywhere.
Roam around the world.
Just imagine the dybbuk just like in a
shimmying to that song.
Just pointing at things. Yeah.
I just imagine like a montage of like Paris.
Yeah. And like
Vegas.
the Hollywood sign comes by. Yeah. And it's like, yeah.
A latte.
Yeah, scarf and a latte.
So this dybbuk basically was so they attempted to trap it on December 10th. They were not successful. And she wasn't actually able to trap it until a couple years after World War II.
Whoa.
So she felt like it was responsible in some way for the Holocaust and all the madness that happened, right? So now we're going to go back to this whole thing where she says it can choose, it chooses. So this dybbuk box is really interesting because it seems to like almost write its own story, weave like a story. So it's not like people like haphazardly just like, oh, I just got this box and I don't know what to do with it. It just kind of like has a path. So this box from Kevin had been sold and auctioned to a few people. And then this guy, Jason, finds out that there's a connection to the box and his hometown. This is the guy who has it now. This is the guy that it was passed down from Kevin Manis through the college kid now to Jason. So he finds that there's a connection between this box and his hometown in Missouri. So he looks into it a little bit more, and this I'm gonna read. So it says he realizes there might be a link to the dybbuk box to his hometown in Kirksville, Missouri. So he found this connection with Harry Hamilton Laughlin. I don't know if anybody knows who Harry Hamilton Laughlin is, but he's basically one of the he was a very big activist for the Eugenics Movement, which for the listeners out there who aren't too familiar about what eugenics is, it's basically using science to weed out what they say quote unquote, breed out the bad and breed in the good. Yeah. And it was basically the foundation of what Hitler used for the Holocaust.
Being Hitler. Yeah.
Exactly, for being Hitler.
Did you know Charles Lindbergh was a eugenicist?
No.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because that's one of the theories, that he actually was responsible for getting rid of his baby, because the baby that was found, the body of the child that was found, had several deformities. And if that was true, if the baby really was deformed in some way or had some sort of disfigurement, it would have been sort of like embarrassing for him.
Yeah.
He couldn't be on board with a disabled child.
Yeah, and the baby was missing like certain key organs. It was like specific organs were gone and some were still there. Yeah. So they believe that he might have gotten rid of his own baby.
Ugh.
Wait a minute. That's like get rid of, like he disposed of the baby without anybody knowing kind of thing?
Yeah, like he killed it. Yeah. Well, there's two theories. One is that he like straight up was like, I don't want this kid. It's deformed. I mean, I like white, blonde, strong people.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And he killed the baby, or he had basically paid someone to kidnap the baby, but really they were transporting it away so that it was like out of his life, and then something happened in transit and the baby died. But people are
both
pretty
theories
sure
point to that he's the worst. Pretty much.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about the eugenics movement is that it actually started in the United States, and then a lot of German scientists cited Harry Laughlin when they were doing their studies in Germany. And then it's interesting because Harry Laughlin, I've also found out, he was involved in the notion of forced sterilization in America, which is really crazy.
Which we're still doing.
Yeah, geez.
I auditioned for a movie that was about a doctor who was sterilizing Hispanic women so they would stop breeding.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
It's horrible.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what they're
doing
saying
at the
might be
border.
happening at the border, that women are getting agreeing to and signing forms that they consent to like hysterectomies and shit, but they don't know what they're signing because there's no one there translating.
But anyway, so this guy Jason finds this connection, right? He's like, whoa, this is weird. This is my hometown. Maybe this is why I have it. He felt that the box was like, the dybbuk was trying to like lead it and tell its story, right? So then he called a medium in to sort of touch the box and give her readings. And so she was able to pick up on the ailments that he had experienced. But then she also picked up on another man. And his ailments was something like tight chest or chest pains, and then something with the head. And so the owner of the box, Jason, had confirmed that Henry suffered from epilepsy and died of a massive heart attack. So I think they were picking up. I don't know how the box itself ties into him in that way. Like maybe the spirit was influencing him. I don't know. So it was really interesting. But now here's the cool part about it. So this guy, Jason's like, all right, I have to contain this shit. What do I do?
Right.
So after like consulting a lot of religious leaders, he came up with basically putting it in an ark, like the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh.
And he had to build it specifically. So this ark was made of 1.25 inches of acacia wood, it's called.
Okay.
And then on the inside of this, so acacia wood is supposed to be this very strong, powerful wood that holds a lot of power. And that coupled with what he lined the inside of it, which was 24 karat gold, which he said represented, I believe, immutability and perfection.
Oh.
It helps contain it. So he built this ark and contained it and put it in there. And then like had it, I guess. And then I started to Google to see like who has this box.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, it ain't in that ark.
Oh no.
When I
So
saw
it's
it, it was in a
escaped.
glass case. It's in a freaking glass case. So the last person that I could find that had it in 2018, I think he still has it now. You guys might know the name just in your field, but Zach Baggins.
Oh.
You know what I'm
Oh,
talking-
Maria.
you know him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's Zach Baggins?
He's
Ghost Adventures.
He's from Ghost Adventures. He's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
special.
Yeah. Okay.
So I know nothing about the dude, but he himself has this box. At least he did in 2018. I don't know if he currently still
I
has
don't
it
think I
now.
knew that.
He probably does. He probably has it at his Las
Museum.
Vegas museum.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes
Exactly
sense.
right.
I thought he was just chilling with it next to his bed. I was like, who gave it to this guy?
Why don't they throw that shit in a volcano or
Right?
something? Why
You
do people
can't.
hold on to it? Why?
What do you mean, why? You can't.
You'll
You have
release
to
it.
contain it.
Like take like a priest and a rabbi up there, put them in the tinfoil suits, and be like, and have them do have the priest go something in Latin, like Spiria tutu Maria tatiria, and then have the rabbi just, shalom it, and then just chuck that fucker into the lava. Why not do that?
Just for the record, that wasn't Latin. Just for anybody who's like learning Latin and was looking to you for help, that was not Latin.
They're like flipping through their book, like,
Yeah,
wait
like
a
what
minute.
was
didn't
Spiria
learn
taturia?
this.
What?
Yeah.
What's that? What?
No, so I guess this dude Zach has it in his haunted museum in Vegas.
Okay.
And when I saw the pictures, because he also has that show Ghost Adventures Quarantine, right? So anyway, I saw it was in this glass case, and he was like, I'm gonna open it and whatever. I'm like, I don't even know why y'all are fucking with this shit. Like, please put it back in its ark and send it off and put it away. But so this is interesting trivia. So apparently Post Malone went to that museum
I believe it.
and in 2018 and then experienced a series of unfortunate events. Not his tattoos on his face, but like one, it was like
Already had the tattoos.
he's already had the tattoo. So that already had happened. So it was like one after another. One, it was like a plane crash. Two tires blew out on the
Yikes.
runway
Oh my
on his
gosh.
private jet. Then right after that, he one of like his old house or something was broken into at gunpoint.
Whoa.
And then a few weeks later, he was in a car crash and collided with another car. He's obviously okay because it's 2020, Post Malone
Right.
still here. But so there was this video that was leaked on TMZ of Post Malone. They were like, was he cursed by it? But it was just a video of like Zach touching the box and then Post Malone touching his shoulder. So it like passed through joints and shit. So like the
Okay.
dybbuk can pass through your joints is what I'm trying to get at here. It's like,
Yeah.
don't
So
go
it's like
anywhere near it.
arthritis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like electricity.
He's showing up as
Yeah.
arthritis. Great.
Yeah. So that's what I found about the dybbuk. I mean, like I said, there's
Oh,
only
boy.
10 apparently in the world, and
That is
2 of them
wild.
are at this museum. I think
Jeez.
he acquired another one. Oh, sorry. Yes.
No, but you didn't answer my question. Why can't you just throw it into a volcano or like the Mariana Trench or blast it out into space?
Because first of all, anybody who has it, it causes so much havoc in your life, like I doubt that they'll even get to the freaking Mariana Trench. Like your boat will just like, I don't know, get consumed by a whirlpool. And if you even could make it up to like a volcano, it'd probably throw you in it. So I wouldn't even go anywhere.
So if you're
near.
trying to transport it, it's probably going to like try and kill you a million times before you get anywhere,
Makes
basically.
sense. Okay, that's
Dang.
it. That's yeah.
Well, and also, I was thinking like basically the box is what holds this thing in. So if you threw it into a volcano, the box would get destroyed,
it would
but the
be
demon would
released.
just shoot right out.
Whoa! And then it would be rum if you want to. It would be doing that.
Yeah,
You're right.
again.
And the thing is that they're saying it, and you guys know in just like your studies of spirits and demons and stuff like that, the box itself holds it, but the energy isn't contained.
Right.
The energy can go through
Can
anything.
do whatever the hell it wants.
So you actually have to put it inside some sort. I know it's like funny, like, whoa, Ark of the Covenant, but that's what the Ark of the Covenant was, where, you know, that thing was like with the wood and the gold, and it had like 2 archangels holding the 10 commandments in it.
It was so intense.
You know, it's so intense. It's been missing for a while. I think, I don't know, it got stolen in something BC when the Babylonians
A lot
took
of gold
over.
in there, yeah. I mean, come on.
But
Well,
it's real. Yeah. So
that
the
is
Dybbuk
crazy.
now I understand the Mezuzahs. I get it because
I understand.
Okay, I'm on eBay.
you can buy Dybbuk
And-
Are you
boxes.
buying a DYBBUK box right now?
Don't.
No.
Okay.
It's like, what are you trying to do to
Ashley.
Joe?
No. I would never. I wouldn't dare.
Ugh.
No, because you can buy Dybbuk boxes, but I think they're all a scam.
I was going to say, if there's only so many in the world, now people are just trying to get your money.
Because they're all like extremely active, sealed Dybbuk box, Jewish paranormal amulet, Latin spirit entity. That's the
That's a big
full
one.
description.
That's a big one.
This makes me feel
Yeah.
better because this is kind of what I thought of DYBBUKS. It's so funny. I thought like maybe I had some knowledge. So that's why when you were like, Lauren, what do you know? I was like, no, take the reins because I don't want to take away from your story. I'm probably going to like give too much detail. Silly me. I was just like, a DYBBUK is a box that's magical and demonic at the same time. I had
like the brave little toaster, but like a box
Yeah.
that comes up. Like,
Maria, you just like
Yeah.
schooled me on every level. I clearly had no freaking clue what a DYBBUK was because I was more
No.
on Ashley's page of like, can't you just buy them anywhere and it like
No.
might do something bad to you? Oh my gosh.
Well, they range from about $40 to $90 with
That's a
about $8
steal.
to $10 shipping.
That's way too
So,
cheap.
if anyone-
It's way
It's
too cheap.
too cheap to get a interdimensional demon.
It's
yeah,
not right.
I mean, they should
Yeah.
sell
What would
themselves
you
short.
pay?
Yeah.
Dybbuk is the demon, and the box is, I guess, what it could. The Dybbuk box is a famous box, though. This wine box is like
Yeah,
a
that's
famous
like
one.
the box.
Right, the one that
So-
people know about.
Dybbuk was the Dybbuk a thing before the wine box? Like, was it is it like in the Jewish Bible or?
Yeah, it's ancient. I don't know if it's in the Jewish Bible. I haven't done research on that, but it's super ancient.
Wow.
Okay.
I mean, I would assume it's super ancient. It's funny because there's a story in the Old Testament. I believe it's like 2 Samuel or 1 Samuel. I don't know, where Solomon, went to a witch and was like, "Yo, open up a portal. I want to talk to I want to talk to this prophet." And she did. And like we talked earlier too about how Ashley last week about the story in the New Testament where there's this guy who was afflicted with spirits. So it's very interesting that you're asking this because back in the days, in the biblical days, people thought, before we had a good understanding about mental health, people thought that you were possessed by a demon.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
may very well have been. And in the
Totally.
Bible, there's a story where this man had like sort of lived in the graveyards and he was afflicted by this demon and he was always doing all this like damage to himself. And this demon came up to Jesus, inside the guy and was like, "What are you doing here, son of God? It's not your time yet." And he had cast the demon out into a herd of pigs and the pigs then killed themselves. So they're demons, and I would assume the Dybbuk is an ancient thing. Demons and spirits are ancient.
I saw paintings of DYBBUKS that were from like, medieval times and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I wasn't sure if that was like something that got sort of not created, but given a name in the 1930s, or if it was like,
or if it goes way, way back.
Yeah, had a name before that.
In my research, I think I kind of gathered that dybbuk was the name of a spirit. Like, I don't think that it's the name of like a specific demon. You know what I mean? Like there's demons that have specific names, I believe. I don't know, but it kind of came off as like it was just this spirit.
Yeah.
Or it could be a demon. The dybbuk, that word is derived from the Hebrew word dabbuk, which means to attach. So it makes sense that, and it was like a derivative of another word too, which also meant to cling. So it's a very clingy, kind of attachy sort of spirit.
There are a lot of things, creatures in different religions or different, cultures or whatever, that when you describe them, the descriptions are demonic. Like you're like, well, that's a demon, but it's like they might not believe that it is a demon. They might believe it's something, In this case, in this specific wine box case, and I'm super into like demon spirits and all that stuff. I'm not meaning like I like to dabble in it, but I'm very fascinated about it.
Curiosity. You have a curiosity.
Yeah, I have a curiosity about it. But what I gathered, it sounded more like it was a demon than an actual just like like a dead person that was like, some dude that was like, I'm bored. Yeah.
I'm bored. I'm just gonna attach myself to this guy real quick.
Yeah.
Travel the world.
Dybbuk schmibbuk.
Dybbuk schmibbuk, man.
Give me the ham.
Before we exit, I wanted to give one quick little Mandela effect thing because I loved Maria's reaction, and I feel like this could still be like quick and not take up a lot of time. And maybe you guys have heard of this and I was the only idiot. Who do you guys remember being the person that delivered the Publishers Clearinghouse checks?
I didn't know that there was a specific person.
Ed McMahon.
It was
Ed McMahon,
it was
right?
Ed McMahon. Yeah.
No, that's what I thought too. Ed McMahon has never delivered an American or a Publishers Clearinghouse check. He actually was a spokesperson for a rival company called, I believe it's American Publishers. Yeah, American Family Publishers. People saw his ads for them, got confused, and have now imagined in their head that Ed McMahon was delivering these checks. He has never ambushed someone at their front door. He has never held a check. And Publishers Clearinghouse just sort of went along with it. They never like came out in the press and said like, no, Ed McMahon doesn't work for us, because it was giving them like so much notoriety and press. So they went with it and it built them up. But like, it's just average Joes that deliver the checks. Ed McMahon never has.
I was going to say, I thought it was different people every time. I just experienced a Mandela effect this past year that makes me so mad.
What?
Well, if you picture, you might already know this one, so it might be like spoiled. If you picture the Fruit of the Loom logo,
yes.
What do you picture?
Grapes and apples.
Green grapes. Yeah, fruit.
Fruit, nothing else?
Are they like in anything, the fruit, or are they just hanging out?
I mean, I just
thought they were like free fruit, like free, like they were just.
So
yeah.
You're correct. I swear to my ring light that they were in a cornucopia.
What? No.
Like in a little
that the
cornucopia.
Fruit of the Loom logo was a cornucopia with the fruit like coming out of
That's
it.
Thanksgiving.
I know that. But I cannot.
And she's not alone. Like half the world thinks that too. I'm actually with you guys, Steve and Maria. Ashley brought this to me and I said the same thing as you. I was like, it's just a bunch of fruit hanging out. And she was like, no, there was a cornucopia.
There was a freaking cornucopia. And if you look at the images side by side, like people like you guys are like, no, that one's right. But I'm like,
I know.
There was a cornucopia.
I don't know what's worse is that I didn't know that it was called a cornucopia, or that I just assumed it was like a wicker seashell. Like, look at that wicker seashell!
That came from nature?
No,
wicker seashell.
That like the pilgrims put together. You know, the pilgrims are like, let's weave this wicker seashell, you know, or a wee shell, whatever you want to call it. and let's put it on the table and give it to the natives. You know, I don't know.
Also,
I mean-
this was interesting because in both cases, me, Steve, and Maria were all in agreement, and you were on the opposite. You didn't remember Ed McMahon, but you think you remembered a cornucopia. So that was an interesting little thing that just happened. Huh.
So we're all on different timelines,
Apparently.
basically.
I'm with Steve and Maria. I'm hanging out in your timeline, I guess.
I'm on my
The
own.
Ed McMahon thing truly blew my mind. Like,
Yeah, I thought
could
so
have
too.
sworn he held a giant check, guys.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of remember him doing it, but I just also remember like generic white-haired old guy.
Exactly.
That
yeah.
too would also be like, you know, but wouldn't you be pissed if you won and you thought not only were you getting the money,
Ed
but Ed
McMahon was
McMahon was going to show up and you're
Right.
like, who the fuck are you, guy? Where's Ed
This guy
McMahon?
Ray. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd be pissed.
Thinking Ray. So thank you guys
Thank
so
you,
much
guys.
for
Thank
coming
you,
on our
guys.
show again
Love
Thank
you.
you.
for our season 4 finale.
Pleasure. I love it.
Well, thank you
Well,
guys. Thank
we
you for
love
having
you
us on.
guys. Thanks
Seriously,
for coming.
love you guys. You guys,
Mm.
and you're amazing. Seriously, you guys are kicking
Yeah.
ass. Keep kicking
Yeah.
ass.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you and yours.
Yes, and happy Hanukkah,
Yes.
Shalom to my Jewish
Shalom.
listeners.
Yes. Steve and Maria are just the warmest people.
So warm, so witty, so intelligent, so, oh my gosh, we could just go on and on. They're the best.
I could
We love
listen to them tell stories for hours.
Especially with the little bit of New York accent they have going on. Like, they're
Yeah.
good storytellers
Really
anyway, but the accent just really adds it on. Like, oh man, guys, watch out for them. They're going to be so famous.
Oh, they're going to be
in a few
so
years.
famous. I'm very excited to watch them. Thank you guys again, Steve and Maria, for joining our season 4
Thank you.
finale.
We love you.
But sadly, that's all the time we have this episode for Keep It Weird. We know that you think you've learned your lessons, but we also know that the scariest ghost is approaching. But we hope you take
Ooh.
comfort in the knowledge that the future is always at least a little scary for everyone. And we're in this together. We hope that you drop us a line at Keep It Weirdcast across any platform or in our Facebook group or via email keepitweirdpodcast@gmail.com at some point during our hiatus to say hello or to send us some creepy real-life scary stories.
Yes, please.
We will be working on planning another great season for you, so any requests topic-wise will be welcomed and appreciated.
Yes, help us out.
So happy holidays, weirdos. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. I actually don't know any other word to that song. Happy holidays.
And the merry
keep it
bells
merry,
keep
berries
I don't either,
ringing.
apparently.
It's
Keep it weird.
weird. Beautiful.
I really don't know the other words.
I don't
to that
either.
song.
I started singing it and I was like, oh shit, I've really backed myself into a corner here.
Yeah, I had
Do not
absolutely
know.
no clue. Oh, that's funny.